Check 1, 2. Well, now I have no feedback, so hopefully that's working. All right, so most of you here yesterday, Zach, welcome back. Noah, welcome back. Everyone else is here today, right? So what we've done is we've built out an application that represents our MVC structure. Does anyone want to recap it really quickly? What we have going on, what MVC is, how it relates to Sinatra, and what the model is that we're building right now. Any volunteers? Daring and bold? Okay. I'll be bold and daring, talk about it. Model view controller, that's MVC. Okay, we've built an application that's like a restaurant, it's a sushi restaurant. We have Mr. Box here. Everyone remember our user. This is not part of the MVC structure other than it's the user who will be looking at. By the way, what part of the MVC does the user interact with? The view. The user's interacting with the view. The view is like, in our restaurant analogy, the view is like the table, right? See, that's thank you for the emphasis, Truck. So the table is like our view. It's like what we see. The user's interacting with the table. So you could, and then the waiter is the controller. The controller takes information from the user back to the model. The model is like the kitchen. So where we left off, I did make some changes, or some very small changes. In the first view we built, the first template, was our index view, which how do we represent that using restful routes in terms of the sushi, model? How do we represent index view as far as the URL goes for a sushi model? Sushis, right? In general, we just pluralize the name of whatever model it is we're talking about. And that becomes our index view. So I've got get. Why is it a get request? We're just getting information. We're not changing, we're not updating, we're not deleting, we're not making anything new, we're just getting. So get sushis, I assign this instance variable called sushi.all. I tell the model, okay, I tell the kitchen, hey, give me a list of all the sushis. Yeah, Paul. Please make it bigger. Oh, yeah. Better? Yes. Okay. Now the change I made was in my index template, so I'm naming the template index, and the URL is going to be the plural version of whatever model, in this case sushis. Okay? Can anyone spot out what I did differently here? I made this a little more interactive so our user can actually look at this and do something with it. What did I do?
You put out all the sushis?
I already had all the sushis yesterday.
So you said there's no sushi? If there's a sushi?
Okay, I did. So I added an else statement so that if the sushis don't exist or they're empty, I'm going to give some feedback saying, sorry, we don't have sushi. And then Mr. Box is going to be pissed because he's at a sushi restaurant, he sat down, and then he gets to know that there's no sushi. He's like, dude. Anyway, so I didn't say we had the best customer service. What did I do here? What's this? Does anybody know?
The name will link to the sushi page, the individual sushi page.
Cool. What's this A stand for? Anchor. What's an anchor tag?
Link.
It's a link, right? This is a link. This is something somebody can click on. I gave it the H. What's href?
It's the target URL.
Yeah, exactly. We put the URL of where we're going. Why did I do this? What's this all about?
Just find the sushi ID.
Yeah, but why is it like that? What's with the percent signs and the quotes and stuff?
It goes to that sushi.
What's that?
It goes to that sushi. So it's
Okay, so that's the end result is if we go into this particular sushi, but what is this all about? Basically, yeah, this is ERB syntax. So when ERB file gets run, ERB runs first before HTML. Okay, so ERB runs and it processes. Ruby processes anything it finds inside of ERB tags, including in this case what's inside of these quotes. And so sushi.id is going to get basically, you can think of it like interpolation. We're going to pull that ID out, and it's going to get populated into this URL. So this is going to end up being sushis and then the ID of the sushi. Right? So that what I end up with looks like this. Okay, and now I can click on one of these, and it's going, if you watch the URL at the top, it's going to populate with the ID. And we built this route yesterday, right? the get route. So if we look at application controller, this is the route we built. The show, what do we call this route?
Show.
The show route, right? Okay, this is where we left off. Is everybody cool? Feeling okay? What's the difference between redirect and ERB? You may want to give a 30-second, less than 30-second explanation. Alec, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, redirect basically use the term redirect you to a different get request.
Exactly. So redirect says, I want a different get, and I'm glad you said get request. Redirect is going to be a get request, right? It's going to repopulate the URL and say, now match this URL instead. And in this case, we go through here, the URL in the browser changes, we send it a request, it matches whichever one is going to match. In this case, if the user clicks, we're going to match one of these guys. That's not redirect, but anyway, same idea. And why do we have to have ERB on these second two methods that we built? Why do we use ERB? ERB, remember, calls a method called render inside Sinatra. Why do we need render instead of redirect there?
We're going to display information.
We're going to display information, but we can display information without rendering per se, maybe.
Because we want to
Like
prefab the information.
Let me just show you something real quick.
To display information from our models or database.
The real answer is I need this variable to be accessible inside that code, and I want it to be accessible inside of this particular template. But you know we can do this too, right? Helo from show page, right? Like I don't have to redirect or do something like this, right? If I do this and I refresh the page, it's just going to show whatever I wrote there. You guys see that? So I just wrote a string in there, and it said, well, I don't know what to do with this, so I'm just going to give you this to render. Or I'm just going to give you this HTML world, and you can try and figure out what to do with it. HTML says, oh, I can handle a string. And it just says, okay, hello. Well, actually, it says hello from the show page. Okay? So just to kind of be clear, we do have different options of what we do here. Very rarely, though, will you want to just return a string. Okay. It gets hot in here fast, or is it just me because I'm presenting? I don't know. Are you guys hot?
Yes.
Can I crack a window? So, our next step, we're going to move along here. Our user was able to see all the sushis on the menu that he could order. We finished this. The controller here, okay, represented by this entire application controller, took the order took that request, get me all the sushis from the user, took it back to the kitchen and said, hey, kitchen, give me all your sushis. And the sushi chef was like, here are all your sushis. And here they are. Okay, and we pass them into this variable. So this is the model, this is the kitchen, right? Grabbing all the sushis, putting them into an instance variable, then we're rendering out the index view. After that, the user looks, oops. Cool. And here, this slide just shows our chef. Sushi.all is literally grabbing all of the sushis from the database. In fact, let's do something really quickly. What I want to do, does anybody remember active, how to turn on the logger here? I don't remember, I'm asking. Is it this? Something like that? Somebody help me out. I don't want it off, I want it on. Nil's going to turn it off. I don't want it nil. So just say active record logger.
Yes.
See what that does. Okay, so now if I actually refresh this. Yeah, so that's not it. Active record logger. I don't know. Is that what you got? Turn on SQL. Maybe this. Try that maybe. I meant to do this before right now, obviously. Cool. So now we can see what's actually happening here inside of our console. So when the code hit here, when we hit sushi.all, the model is saying, get me all the sushis. So that's related, the model is saying, okay, database. So you can think of it like, you can use different metaphors. So you can say he's looking at the freezer. You can say he's looking at whatever the list of stuff is. What's my list? Here it is. I'm finding all the rows in the database. And you guys know what this query is going to look like before we even see it. What's it going to look like? Select star. Yep, from sushis, right? And sure enough, select sushis dot star. Okay, from sushis where sushi dot ID equals. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry. Why am I seeing something different from what I just said? Why was I wrong about what I just said? Where are we right now? What's that? Yeah, we're in the show page, right? So if I want to go back and see the one that we were expecting a moment ago, why am I seeing this error? By the way, get used to this. You're going to see this a lot, and you're going to be really frustrated because everything's perfect. And why are you seeing this error? The extra slash. So Sinatra is kind of a pain in the butt in terms of I didn't build a slash here. So if I put one and it doesn't exist, it's not going to match it.
Is there a fix for that?
There is somewhere. I don't know off the top of my head. Good thing to look up though. There's definitely a way you could fix it besides just building two different. I believe that there is a. I think that there is a character you can put in here that'll match, but you got to be careful because you don't want to match anything, right? There's a way to do it. I don't know it right now. So here's the query we were expecting to see. Select sushi load. Select sushis.star from sushis. So basically, give me everything you got inside the sushis table.
How come it's not just star? The sushi does star?
Let's see. Console. I'm not going to see it. Am I going to see it here? Nope. Yeah.
To answer your question, the dot is a regular expression denoting that you needed at least one, and the star means any amount, including none. So I think the point of the dot is to make sure at least one thing comes back.
No, the dot is the dot. This isn't regex in here.
Oh, what is it?
No, the dot is like give me all of. So I've got. So give me everything from each sushi. So sushi dot. So in other words, this is sushi dot name in this case, and sushi dot description. So it's saying give me the name and the description from every single one. So because it's not just like, because we now have these objects that models. These model objects that have all these attributes, we're saying, give me not just everything in the table, but also all of their attributes. So that's what's going on there. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so let's keep going. So now the model has got us, our kitchen returns what we want it to. We've got all these instances that we have now chopped, the controller receives and chops up and shows. And now the user can see the menu, which is now, looks like this, okay? The left side up there, make sense? So now the user says, by the way, we finished this, right? Oops. Oh. Okay, and now the user has picked a salmon roll. We're kind of playing catch up here. We were here yesterday. But now it's a little bit nicer because the user can literally can say, oh, I want the salmon roll. And clicks on the salmon roll, which automatically shows him the salmon roll, which is delicious. But how did we get there? Well, we already finished this part as well. Get sushis with the ID. Okay, we're in this method right here. We decide we need to ERB in order to populate our view template with the instance variable that we have found. Okay, and we're going to show that happening here. User says I want salmon. By the way, what is this params thing? So this is what is this?
Params is a hash.
Params is a hash. Good. That's a good way to start. Yes.
That's the input you placed in.
Keep going. You're right. So I interacted with the view. I clicked on something here.
Yeah.
How did what I click on end up in the controller?
It saved it in params.
Yes, it saved it in params. The params is a hash. You can almost think of params like if you wanted to tweak it over to our model. This data here, like the user said, I want this one and wrote it down and handed it to the waiter. That's like the params hash. So you can think of it like as the waiter's notebook, maybe. Okay? You can think of it like the bus or the boat that all the information takes from the view. So this could be just a click event, like clicking on one of these. It could also be a form, which we're going to build here in a second. All that information that goes from the click, from the user input to the controller, takes a ride on the params train. Params train? I don't know. I'm working with different metaphors. You guys gotta let me know what works there. Okay? So params is a hash. If I wanted to see what it looks like, I could do something like this. Okay? Save that. I'm gonna go back up, refresh, click on my salmon roll, and now I'm going to see my params right here. Cool?
Yeah, I was wondering, how does params know how to get hash? Is it from sinatra rack or something?
It's. I think the correct answer is rack. That's a really good question. Who owns params originally? You're going to see params in Sinatra and Rails. You're going to see it in Java when we're dealing with JavaScript. Params is going to be that sort of master of data. I'm not sure whether the form it takes comes from Sinatra or whether it's deeper than that. It might be rack. That's a really good question, Chase. I'll look that up and get back to you on that. But notice all this stuff. There's a whole lot of information going on here. There's always a ton. This is our rack environment and all our rack environment variables. Let's see params in here per se, but I guarantee you that it's in here somewhere. Like all this. Let's see if we can find it. Params.
Does Rails take you to this page?
Raise throws an exception and says stop. Okay, and if you pass in like something.inspect like I did, it's just going to say, okay, this is a runtime error. I literally made, it's like I could have done a binding as well and then looked at params. I just chose to do it this way. This is a different way. It's kind of maybe a lesser used debugging tool. It's just to raise.inspect something. Raise and then .inspect. I could do pry, throw in a binding, go back, refresh. If I click the link, I should get caught in the binding down here. There I am. I could also look at params. I see the same thing. Okay? Cool. So params, and it might be worth noting that params, if I wanted to show params on the view side, I could as well. But we're not going to really refer to params from inside of the views. Even though if we printed it, we could see it. What we're really interested in, params is really useful in carrying information from the view, so forms, click events, whatever, to the controller. Even though it's a two-way bus, most of the riders are just going one way, not to the controller. Yeah.
When I do that, params has like other stuff in it.
Yep.
Like slat, which is an empty array.
Mm-hmm.
Something called caught, which is an array that just has the ID value inside it, and then ID.
Okay. So params, depending on the library and the program you have set up, params may automatically be carrying whatever other information. Some of it you might recognize, some of it you might not. What are you talking about in a specific lab you're thinking of that you did this, or?
Yeah, just, I mean, it was the old lab I tried on.
You'll sometimes see a little extra information, and when we see that, we can kind of look and try and figure out what it is. Exactly what other information we're going to carry in params. I'm not going to try and think of all of it right now, but you might see stuff you don't recognize, and that's okay. Okay, as long as you see the data that you are expecting in the format that you are expecting it, by the way, which we'll talk about that in a minute too. Okay, so we've ordered our salmon roll. Controller is very happy. The waiter is very happy about this. We've gone back and we're still sort of catching up to where we were. The waiter and the controller says, "Give me just the salmon roll based on these params that I have." And this is the order to the kitchen right here. These are corresponding slides. This slide corresponds to this. It's really hard to see. This line of code is this slide happening. Is everybody okay with that? Make sense? Okay, we keep moving along. The model says, "Hey, give me this one particular guy." And sure enough, if I go back, refresh, so I think I changed something again, and I click on this, and now we will see down here, select sushis.star, so give me all the sushi attributes from sushis where sushi.id equals question mark, limit question mark. I'm passing in the ID down here, right? The ID, which is 2, which is coming from, we pass it with using data from params, right? And the limit, this is automatic. When I say .find, find only wants one item returned, so it's going to give me the first one and then stop. That's why you see the limit zone. So this SQL query should look kind of familiar. This is why we learn SQL, so you can look at this stuff and say, "Oh, I understand what's happening." Okay. Everybody okay with that? As we dive ahead, we'll try and keep a pace, but please ask questions if you're not sure what's going on. Okay. So our sushi chef found what he was looking for. That's happening right down here. Can you see that? You can't see that. Okay. And he passes it back to the controller. Okay. And here he is passing it back to the controller, packing it into this variable called @sushi, which is an instance variable so that it can be passed along to the views. If we just made it sushi without an instance variable, it would not be visible to the views. Okay? Pass it along. Controller brings it back. And here, this is our corresponding view that we just called with ERB. We passed in our sushi variable, and we displayed it using ERB tags, and just an H2 and a P tag. So that's the action of our controller getting it back to the view, to the user through the view. This outline in blue, this view is now this guy. This is our show page. Okay? This is our particular instance. That's this @sushi. And now the user can see it. And so can we. Our table is now populated with our salmon roll that the user asked. Okay? Ta-da! Okay, cool. So we did that. We get our gold star. Okay, now, wait, who's worked in a restaurant before, by the way? Who's seen the movie Waiting? Okay, it's very accurate portrayal. I worked in a kitchen and in restaurants since I was 15. So this happens all the time. Like, a user wants one thing, and then they change their mind. It's like, actually, I forgot I'm allergic to salmon, Mr. Boss. Can I make my own roll? And everyone wants to do this, by the way. It's like, this ain't Burger King. You can't have it your way, but actually, we're cool. We can do this. So, user saying, I don't want this anymore. I want to make my own. Okay? So how can we give the user the means to build their own, in this case, sushi roll, their own instance of something? What's this going to look like? Let's start with the controller action. What do we want a controller action to be? What's our verb here?
Post.
Who thinks it's post? Who's not sure? Who has another guess or answer? You can always shout it out. Why is it a get? It is a get. We need the form first. So the get request is just to get the form. We'll talk about the post in just a second. what would a restful route for creating a new sushi be? Sushis, yes, / new, exactly. This is a restful route. This is what we decided makes sense. We're in the sushi's domain, and now we want to form for a new one. Okay? I'm going to pass in a block. Now what do I want to do? Dan?
Make a new view here.
I do. And what's that going to be called?
New or /sushi/.
Right, and so I'm glad you just said that too. What we're going to see, we're not going to change the names of these views. They're almost always going to just be index, as I covered up the other one, show, etc., new. We're not going to change the names of the templates. What we're going to do is put them into the folders that correspond to the models. So this should really be views, sushis, and then view, index, show, etc. But since we only have one model, I was lazy and just put them right into views. Okay, so we will. These are all. We're going to try and keep these names simple. Okay, what are we going to call it? New.erb. And now what are we creating? Anybody know? What tool do we have to allow a user to create something new? A form, right? Okay. What is all this crap? What's class? It's an HTML attribute that right now we don't care about. Action. Now this is where, remember yesterday I said words can be confusing? Because we were talking about action. Before it's on actions like create, a new, edit, update. Now we have to say action. And inside of a form, action has a very specific meaning, and it's not necessarily the same as when we're talking about the actions in the controller. So I know that that's frustrating and annoying. Just have to get used to it because that's what it is. So does anyone know what the action is in a form?
It's the redirect.
It's the...
I guess where you will redirect after.
Exactly. Where is this form sending to? Where are we going? So the action is the URL that we're sending this to. Okay? In this case, where do we want to go? Now back to what you said before, we're going to need to build a post method. And in RESTful routing, what is that post method going to look like? In fact, we can quickly just flesh it out. We don't have to finish it. What's it going to look like? Post sushis, exactly. This is our RESTful way of saying this is going to be our route. This is what the request is going to look like when we create a new sushi. So somewhere here we're going to create a sushi. I'll make myself a note that this is where I want to make a new sushi. Okay, make a new sushi. Now let's get back to that form. Okay, our action was sushis. Our method is post. Notice that this was automatically populated. Forms will default to a post method. Post HTTP verb. In this case, method, again, you got to be careful with words. When it comes to sending a request, coming from a form or coming from a click from a user, method refers to the HTTP verb. Okay? So this is another one of those words that in one context refers to one thing, in one context refers to another. And I know it's annoying. You got to get used to it. Yeah, Dan.
Form like this where you're like making a new object, would it make sense in some scenario to forward to a show page for that new object instead of just like the main index page?
You mean when we're done making it?
Like for action right here. Like how it would be sushis / whatever the idea of the new one is.
No. This is where the form is posting to, not where we're going to end up. Does that make sense? So what I'm saying, what this is saying, we're going to now send when we submit. So we need an input of type submit. This is going to allow us to submit our form. When we click this button that says submit, a post request is going to get fired, and it's going here. How is that going to match? Well, we look at our controller, and we need to match a post sushi's route, and here it is.
Right, I just meant like you change that to post to sushi /
What's the idea?
I don't know. You just find the next ID in the table. It's
How would you do that from the view?
in sushi slash new, like before you send it to new,
So-
define the next ID.
So in order to accomplish what you're saying, we would somehow need to create a new, somehow we would have to create a new sushi in here, get its ID, and then take this ID that we've gotten, ID, and put it up into that action. And we're not, it's like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
But can't you predict what the ID will be? By just finding the max ID.
So good. So this is a really good question, and I'm going to say that it's going to be a general rule that even though you can, you should not be referring to the models directly in the views. There will be a couple, a very short list of exceptions to that as we go, but 99% of the time, you will not be referring to models directly from within the views. It's bad practice. You're reaching across the views and into the models, and we're bypassing the controller, and we don't want to do that for a number of different reasons. Security reasons, data reasons, there's a lot of reasons we're not going to do that. So somehow could we figure out a way to guess? So like I could say something like, I don't know, sushi, this would all be inside of ERB tags. Sushi last. So Dan, just to show that it probably could be done, equals sushi.all.last, right? And I could say last sushi ID, ID equals sushi.last.id, okay? And then somehow, like this would have to go up here, and then here I could interpolate that and say last sushi
in the get
ID.
new page, and then send it here via class variable or instance variable.
I didn't follow that.
Like in the controller,
Here?
the slash new, right before you send it to the ERB, you could do it here and then send it to the.
Oh, could I, sure, I could, okay. So I could find it here. Yes, I could. I could say basically last ID equals sushi.last.id, right? Something like that. And then I make this an instance variable, and now I could have, and I'm just going along to show that like we could do these things. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Basically, we would interpolate, this would be last ID, right? And we would interpolate it. I'm being lazy and sloppy here because we're not going to do this. You could. We could do this. But now we're violating REST. So restful routing dictates that we should be using to get the form sushi/new, period. That gives us the form. And then we're going to send a post request to sushi's. This is where we're going to create our new sushi. And we're going to let active record dictate the IDs. And so part of the reason for that, if we use the last ID, like +1, sorry, this is what you really wanted, right? So if we say, well, I'm going to guess the last ID, the problem is that active record, what does active record do if you delete like 5 instances? Will it recycle those IDs? The answer is no, it won't. And the reason for that is to keep really, really good track and always have unique IDs. In a database, you will never have repeat IDs, period. Okay? Once you reset the database, it'll start again. But as long as that database has been running, you're always going to have a unique list of numbers for IDs. And so this is that's why we have our RESTful route has nothing to do with IDs in order to get the form, and also in order to create it. And down here, once we've created one, we'll have access to the new ID. And then we will use it, and you'll see that in just a second. Okay? So I'm gonna knock this form out here. Let's see. Save that. I don't want to do this anymore. It's a good question. Okay, so how do I do this now? Besides spell things correctly. Does anyone know what's going on here? Does anyone raise your hand if you've never built a form before and this is the first time you've seen it? Okay. So somebody should be able to help me out a little bit. What type should these be? Should they be text? Yeah, right? I could even make this a text area if I wanted to, but text is fine. Name. What text area is just a bigger box for text that you can have multiple lines in, multiple rows and columns, and you can tell it how big you want it to be. So, name. What is so important about name? Why do we have to name these? Tell me more. Yes. She said params. Shirley said params for all who couldn't hear. What about params? Yes, you got a gold star before we even got our whole gold star here. So exactly. The params hash gets populated by the name, by grabbing the values of these inputs under the key of the name attribute from the HTML input. Was that too many words? Then whatever you assign the name becomes the key in the params hash. That's a little better. Okay, so what are we going to call the first one? Name. What are we calling the second one? What? Description. Okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to add some breaks because I like our form to look a little nicer. The break just adds a new line. That's all it does. So now, if I say I want to go to sushi's new, I break. Why? You guys, Rishi talked about this. You guys should know. We should see this. Like, it looks familiar. What happened?
Is the order of the controller?
Yes, the order in the controller. So if we have a dynamic URL such as user/ID, or sorry, sushi/ID, this matched, right? Hit this. This is a GET request. We're going to sushi's, and look, here's something dynamic. Sinatra doesn't know what the hell ID is. It's like, hey, I've got this word. Here's the dynamic. It fits. It's new. So now it's getting to this line saying, show me the sushi with params ID of new. Doesn't make sense. And so the solution then is, of course, to move this up. Now if I refresh, I get my form. And that looks like crap. So I'm at least going to give these things labels as well. I could just do this, actually. Name and description. Okay. And then the value here is going to be what shows up, so I'm just going to say submit. And now it's going to look a little bit nicer, somewhat. Now I can make a new sushi. Okay?
Is that value like assigning? Is that like the params that say or something like that?
Value here.
Yeah.
Value refers to what's going to show up on the screen. So like if I say potatoes, save it, go back to my screen, refresh, now that button's going to say potatoes. Okay? I could say make a new sushi. Yeah, okay. And there I make a new sushi. Cool. So now I'm going to say what sushi. I think this thing actually tells us what we want to make. So we've built out get sushi's new. I think we've completed this task. Okay, can you give me a starter role? So that the starter role in this case is referring to is the form. Okay, the model is saying, in this case, so we're actually, this part of the slide isn't exactly translate to Sinatra right now, because in Rails we're actually going to do something like this where we say, we would actually create the role here, kind of like what Dan was saying a little bit, but we wouldn't save it so it still wouldn't have an ID. We would do something like that. And we're not doing that here in Sinatra because we don't need to. We'll talk about the difference. That's why you see this in the slide. So the starter role here isn't exactly the same right now. We can just think of it like the form. So we're really not conversing with the model yet. Okay, so we're going to skip that slide over. But what we are getting is the form, okay, this, right? That's our table now. And now the user can interact with this. It says, great, thanks. And we've already built this out, get sushi's new. And we're ERBing our template. Now, why are we ERBing here? We didn't have any instance variables to pass along. Yes, we need that template to load. We don't have the template on the screen. We already have the correct URL that we want. And now we need that template to load. Even though we're not passing any variables along with it, we need that template, just that template. Okay? So we're going to render the template. Cool. So we got a gold star for that. This is great. And now the user decides he knows what he wants, and Mr. Box wants a blue rose roll. One of my favorites, actually. Just kidding, I have no idea what that means. And the controller does, though, the server, he's like, I know what that is. And so let's fill that out with blue rose roll. Name, blue rose roll. Okay. Description is blue roses. Duh. Right? What else would it be? Okay. So now I'm creating a new sushi, and what happened? What just happened? We fired a post request. Post sushis. We can see it right here. There it is. What happened though? Exactly. We did nothing here. It hit this route, and all it is a comment and nothing else. So it's like, I don't have to do that. So what do we want to do with that? First, I'm going to show you what params look like coming through. So we oops, cancel that. Go back. I have to refresh it, I think. Blue rose roll. Blue roses. Okay. Okay, so here's our params. Name and description. It's this hash right here. Okay? Now we see what we're working with. So let's go back and build this out. I just have a hash that has a name and a description. So now what do I want to do? Sushi equals sushi dot what? Okay, I can jump straight to create here. I'm fine with that. We'll talk about different patterns, better patterns of doing this as we go. But for now, we can just do create, and then what do I have to do? Params. Should that work? Do we? The eyebrows signaling that maybe we don't. Do we? We'll talk about that in just a second. Well, actually, we'll talk about it right now. What do we want to do? So if we create this new sushi, okay? First, let's see if, I mean,
We want to make sure that the right argument, that only the right arguments are getting passed.
we do want to make sure that only the correct arguments are getting passed. Yes, so that's a good point, but right now I'm going to be super duper cheaty. I'm going to try, because I'm in the interest of time, I want to move along, and so I'm going to totally cheat and just pass in the entire params hash. It's a good point, and down the road we're definitely going to filter and not just pass the params hash. But I just saw that my params hash just has names and description, which is exactly what I need, so I'm just going to use it for now. So I want you to get the feel for this back and forth, and then we'll get into better patterns, okay? And details, because we can spend some time on all that stuff. And we'll talk about why I'm not making this an instance variable. What do I want to do? Now that I've created this new instance of sushi, and this is back to your point earlier, Dan, what do we want to do now?
So now you redirect to sushi's /ID, where you interpolate the ID from the new instance.
Okay, awesome. Did everyone hear what Dan said? He said we're going to redirect to sushi's ID and interpolate the sushi into the redirect command. Why? Why aren't we rendering here? Couldn't my render show with this sushi? Couldn't I just say, make this an instance variable, say render show? Wouldn't that work too? This is kind of a trick question.
You can bring you to a page that it can have any information that's needed.
Well, this information is here, right?
Because it's a post we're going to get, so it won't go or redirect.
It'll still go where it needs to, because the post is just what gets it here. Like we've arrived here. Let's see. This should.
Your link would be wrong.
What's that?
Your link would be wrong.
What do you mean my link would be wrong?
Like, it would still be a /sushis.
Okay, good. Everyone hear what Melissa just said? This will grab the template. But let's just do this, right? Let's do this. Okay. So if I go back, I think refresh. I don't know what has happened yet. So if I say blue rose roll, blue roses, okay, and I say make a new sushi, click. Wrong number of arguments. Given one expected between 2 and 4. Where is this? I don't know what's going on here. Render show, render. Oh, render. Anybody see that? Nobody else caught that? I didn't catch it. That's Rails land. So now if I go back, refresh, blue rolls roll, blue roses galore. Now if I make a new sushi, it worked. And I got back to the page I wanted to see. But like Melissa said, what's wrong? The URL is still sushi's. Why? Because that's where we posted to. So this was the last URL we had, and then we just went and grabbed the template. We didn't bother to change the URL back to where it should be. And that's a problem.
It works, but it's just convention, is that the thing?
Yes, it works, but it's bad form, it's bad convention. Also, we want to tend toward redirecting if we can, right? Like, there's no reason to build this instance variable. There's no reason to create that extra little accessibility. And let's just redirect where we want to go now. We have all the information we need to. Now, if we redirect, we'll end up at the correct URL, right? So what should this look like? Redirect where? Sorry. Sushi's what? So here's a good question. Like in this type of developer, once someone makes a new sushi, do you want to show them all the sushis, or do you want to show them the one we just built? We're going to tend towards going back to the show page. That may not always be the correct answer for whatever application you're building. But generally, we're going to go back to the show page. So how would I finish this off? I don't mean kill it. I mean finish writing this line of code. Interpolate, sushi. Ready? Perfect. Okay. Let's see if this works. I'm going to go to sushi's new. Doesn't exist. Let's put the slash in. Okay. My name is Blue Roses 2. Blue Rolls. Ooh, I like that. Blue Rolls Royce. My nephew's name is Royce. We call him Rolls Royce because he's a chunk. Okay, let's see what happened. And there, now if we look at the URL, that looks like that looks like a show page. All is good in the world. Okay? Does that make sense? Awesome. Now we're going to move along. Let's see. We have this nice interaction. Our user said to the controller, this is what I want to do. Our controller took this back to the chef. Okay, we already built this out. The chef, this is our chef here in the kitchen, our model, is saying, hey, can you create this thing? And the chef's like, I can do anything. So he creates this new row in the database, which we can see down here. Insert into sushi's, name, comma, description, where name is Blue Roses and description is Blue Rolls. Can you guys see this here? Here's our SQL. This is what happened. This is the chef communicating with the kitchen, or doing his magic in the kitchen. Okay. Then this data came, by the way, through the params hash from the user. Okay. We keep moving along, moving along. The model made our new role and delivered it. And here is in all its glory the view. Okay. Awesome. Now, everyone who's worked in a restaurant knows, what's this guy going to do? Come on, he's Mr. Box. I mean, we like him and all, but he's just like any other customer. Well, first we got a gold star, ta-da, for doing what we did. Great. But now he's going to say, I actually wanted red roses. Like, oh, okay? Dang it. So we thought we had this guy all satisfied, and now he wants to change his order. So now what are we going to do? How do we give a user the ability to change something? Edit. Cool. What kind of route are we going to build? Not quite. For the same reason that when Muhammad said post with new, I said not quite. Same thing, not quite. Yes, but not quite. So get. We're going to start with get. Sorry. And what's this going to look like? Now we're editing a specific role. So think about that in the URL we're going to build. What's this going to look like? It's going to start with sushi's. Then what do we need? The ID. We definitely need the ID because we're editing a specific role. I sure do, or I would have gotten an error and I would have been really upset because I probably wouldn't have found that. Thank you, Paul. Sushi's ID, and then finally, edit. This is our restful route for editing a specific instance. Sushi's ID edit. By the way, this is ID it could be just about anything. We want it to be something unique. Sometimes we'll use something like a slug, which is, I say the word slug, and you might think like a little gross slimy thing, or like a penny slug, or a piece of lead, whatever. None of those things. A slug. Does anyone know what a slug is? By the way, Melissa, have you learned about slugs yet?
I mean, like, is it like a splat?
No. Slug. Yeah, Alex, you know?
Slug just another word for the path and URL.
No. So slug is when, if we have some, like if my name is Howard Devenish, the slug of my name might be all lowercase dash, like Howard dash Devenish, so that it fits nicely in the URL. And if we're creating instances, we will make that slug unique, so that there's never two of the same one, and then we can use that in the URL instead of the ID. This ID is kind of like arbitrary. Slugs, when they populate in the URL, they actually make sense. You can look at that and say, oh, I know exactly what that is. You'd be like all songs, and then it would be like, Hotline dash Bling. You'd be like, oh, I know, I'm looking at Hotline Bling. Right? I'm getting ahead of myself, I guess. Okay. Now what are we going to do? What do we want to do here? We do, which is going to be hiding an ERB edit. We haven't built it yet. What do we have to do beforehand, though?
Set add sushi.
Yes, we need to find this particular sushi. And how are we going to find it? But wait, where is this coming from? How do we access this? The URL. Not only does params reach from forms and from clicks, it also grabs the URL. So whatever dynamic piece of the URL you have up here, it's going to be available to you in params. Okay? Under that key. So here we have a key of ID, key of ID. Awesome. So now we have our sushi that we want, and now I'm going to build out a new file. What am I going to call it? Edit.erb. Okay? And I'm going to grab this, and I'm just going to totally cheat, copy, and paste. And I'm just going to change the words that I need to change. By the way, you guys should notice a little bit of code smell going on here. What's code smell?
Dry.
Right. This is not dry. And we will learn better ways to make this, to improve this in the future. Okay. But everything else besides this, we're just going to say edit. What else should change, though? There's one more thing that should change here. You might know what it is. When you go to edit something, should you have to completely rewrite it? No. You should have available to you the current status, right? So how could I do that? Somebody asked about this thing value before.
Add it to value.
Add it to value. So what can I put in here for this input?
Or I guess you could do that sushi, or you have to put in the brackets.
You're exactly right. I have to do this inside of ERB tags. Okay? And then I do the same thing with description. I say sushi.thuthi, sushi.description, and then I put this inside of ERB tags. Cool. I have a package, I forget the name of it. There's a package that will allow you to immediately produce those with control dot and control shift dot. Control dot gives you the non-showable ones, and then control shift dot, the ones where you show. I'll look up the name and I'll suck it out or something. Okay, cool. So now I've got this edit form. And so now if I want to say, I've built out my get request for this, awesome. So now this guy's saying I actually want red roses. So what's going to happen? We just built this. We're going to get the sushi's ID edit. We're going to grab the instance from the database, and then we're going to fire off and grab our edit template and pass along this sushi. Okay. So now if I go to sushi's 5 edit, beautiful. I see what I want to see, right? I put the values from that sushi that we passed along into the correct, the corresponding views, the corresponding inputs. And now I'm going to say, instead I want this to be red roses. Red roses, Rolls Royce. How's that? Okay, so now I've changed this thing up, and I'm going to click on Edit Sushi, and what's going to happen? What happened? Something happened. Did it happen when we wanted it to happen? Did my changes take place? They did? Something weird has happened. What is it?
Did it not actually update because it's on
Like,
6 instead of 5?
well, let's see. What was 5? I feel like that's the one I updated. What just happened? Anybody know? Can anybody spot it? We sent this form. Sorry, Dan, I see you have an answer. We sent this form. We sent it to this particular action, okay? And we sent it on a post request. We never bothered to update the action of the form. There's a couple things that we need to know, and I'm just going to tell you because we don't have a lot of time. Rack supports post and get requests. We're going to have to tweak this so that the form will actually send what kind of request do we want? Patch. Okay? So first of all, if I'm sending a patch request, I do need it to go to a specific sushi, right? Do I? Don't I? Right? Because I'm saying take this exact thing and change it. Right? So what does this need to be? Right. How do I have access to it? No? Actually, yeah, but let's use the instance that we passed along. Jeez, I keep doing that. Do I write that a lot? I don't know what's going on. Sorry. And then there's one more thing we're going to have to do. So the form by default is going to send a post request. I want a patch request. And because Rack likes get and posts automatically, there's a couple things I have to do. Does anyone know what it is? Melissa?
You have to make a hidden input,
Okay, yep.
a hidden name with a value of underscore method. No, name underscore method and the value is.
I believe you are correct. Okay, so this is, it looks weird, it is weird, and one of those things that when we're working with Sinatra, we're just going to have to do. There's even times in Rails where you may end up using this. And this is the way that we're changing. When we're running a rack application, we're saying, I don't want to use get or post. I need to use something else. And here's where we define it. We allow the form to still be a post request, and then we're going to intercept this thing and change it along the way. We need to do one more thing. You know what it is, Melissa? Inside of config.ru. Yep, use rack method override. And this is how this allows us now to use other HTTP verbs other than get and post. And now with these are the two pieces of the ingredient that we need to now change this form so that it's now going to send a patch request to this particular to this action, to this URL. Yeah, Alec?
Is it possible to achieve the same thing with just a post request?
Yeah, but don't. Stick with the correct verbs. Okay, so so now we need to build a new route, and how's it going to start, Chris? Okay. Sushis. I have a hard time with sushis today. Okay. All right, now what am I going to do? What's that? Yes, I'm going to do the same thing here. Awesome. Now I have my instance. And now what? Say it again. Cool. And how am I going to do that? I have a couple different options here. What's the fastest way? Update. Okay. I'm going to update it. And again, I'm just going to use, well, can I just use params? Let's see what happens. Let's drop a binding in here.
Did you want a binding after?
I want to see what params are before I fire that update. And then where am I going to go after this? What's that? Am I going to err something or am I going to redirect? Think about what we did when we created something. Virtually the same thing is happening except we're changing instead of creating. what's going to happen?
Redirect the sushi to sushi.
Right. We're just going to do this exact same thing that we did after we created one. Okay. Awesome. That makes sense? We're just going to show what we updated. That's all. And again, if the developer decides they wants to do something else, you can. But that's the convention right now. Okay. So now if I go to this thing and edit it, here's my form. I'm going to say red roses and make it all caps. So red, blue rolls, whatever. Okay, and edit sushi. Let's see what happens. Now I'm in my pry, and what was I going to look at down here? I want to see what my params look like. Now notice I have some more params. I have a method patch, and then I have my name and description, and I also have my ID. Okay. So here we're starting to see a little bit more. This stuff, when we built this weird looking input here, hidden by the way means that the user won't see it, but you guys probably figured that out. And Rack and Sinatra take this information and say, okay, I know what to do with this. I know how to interpret this. Now can I just pass all these params right in? Are we going to have a problem with me passing this right into sushi.update?
No.
We said we have a yes and a no. I love it. All right, in the red corner. Just kidding. But anyway, let's see what happens, right? Let's just check it out. The best way to find these things out is just to do it. So I'm going to continue, which says, okay, get out of this, keep going. Oh man, big problems. And there it is. Who said yes? We have a problem. Is that you, Ray? Okay, or Zach, or whoever said it. Okay, you win. Okay, so basically, Active Record's saying, I don't like this. I don't understand it. No. Okay. And so now we're just going to have to change this. How can I change this thing? I can just split it up. Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Isn't Active Record supposed to be very smart?
It is. What's that? An update all? There are different methods that sort of force things through, but we're going to let this error catch and not try and shove this down his throat. Okay. We'll get more into that and what's going to accept and what it won't automatically and how we can change that a little further down. I'm sorry to kind of breeze over that question, but I'm just trying to. We will get into this stuff. So I'm going to save this. No, not that. Now if I go back, refresh. Okay. Now I want the reddest of red rolls. Okay. I edit. And now we can see down here. Yep. I know it's kind of squashed right now. Let's see if I can make it a little easier to read. We can see that what happened was we got our sushi, and then we fired this update command. Update sushi, set name and description, where the ID is what it is, which is, name, description, where sushi's.id equals question mark, right? And then these question marks in order are name, description, and ID, and here is our new information coming from params. And by the way, ID is of course not new. Okay, make sense? And now we've redirected to our show page. We have a beautiful URL up here. All is right and well in the world. I'm trying not to hold you more than like 7 more minutes. Okay? Is anybody dying for a break or a bathroom break? Do you want to take 5? Because it's not long after this. Can we sprint to the finish here? Okay, cool. So we built our task. Let's see how we did. The controller, the waiter, asked for the template again. Okay, so we reloaded this template. We passed in the data, right? We passed it by supplying our edit template with this particular piece of sushi that the chef found. The chef said, hey, I know where this thing is. Oops, yeah, this one. Grabs it, packs it in the variable. We grab our edit template. We load up our edit template, which we just built. The model finds it, passes it back, says, here you go, change it. The user grabs it, says, okay, I'm going to make this change. We build out this beautiful this beautiful URL, right? This beautiful route. Okay. Oops. And now we've made the changes, and we've already gone this step as well. Take the guest changes, make the changes, get the food back. Now we have our new red sushi roll, which Chris helped us write, patch. Okay. Oh man, I even had this built in. Oh well. I was going to fail and then show you this, but I didn't. Instead, I just gave it away. Okay. Rack method override goes into your config.ru. Make sure you include the input name. Of course, these guys always change their minds. The controller went back in the kitchen to say kitchen. Actually, instead of a blue rolls roll, we wanted a red rolls roll. Red rolls, red, whatever. The chef says, I love that chef. Because, you know, he's like, anyway. So now he changes it over, which we've done with this patch request. Okay, we're just moving through this because we've already built all this stuff. And now the user has his beautiful reddest of all red rolls. Okay, now we keep going along. And we already built this, we built this route, patch sushi's ID, right here, in which we found the sushi we needed, we made the changes we needed to, and we redirected to the show page. We continue along, and now the user is never satisfied, Mr. Box, now it's the same. Actually, I love this so much that I must destroy it, right? Okay, something so beautiful, what is temporal is beautiful or whatever? Something like that, I don't know. All right, so now he's like, get rid of this thing, destroy it forever, done. Now what do we have to do? Now we have to give the guest the option to take something and completely annihilate it. Okay, how do we do that? What type of request is that going to be? Delete. Good. What's our route going to look like? Our URL. Sushis. If we're deleting a particular sushi, we definitely need its ID. Cool. So something's going to look very similar here, right? We've seen this pattern. What's the first thing that needs to happen? We have to find it. Okay. There it is. Now what? How do we do that? So Active Record provides us with a method to destroy something. What is it? You can use, I think you can use delete or you can use destroy. There's a subtle difference. Delete works, destroy works. There's a subtle difference in them and in the return value. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm just going to use destroy for now. Where should we go once we're done? Okay, cool. I think that's great. How would I get there? Redirect. Sushis.
You need two, redirect two, or redirect itself?
Just redirect. We've been using just redirect.
Oh, okay. But you can also do two?
Yeah, and they take a little, there's a subtle difference there as well. I don't remember off the top of my head the differences. But we'll figure it out along the way. Cool, I think that's all we, oh wait. We've built this beautiful route. How are we ever going to get to it? Yes, louder. Make a delete button in the show page. Yes, that's exactly right, Dan. Very well. Good job. Okay. All right, how can I do that? Yeah, very similar to that, exactly. In fact, let's just do, we could steal this form. It's a little much, but we can do it, whatever. So now I'm going to steal this form. Inside the show, I'm going to make a new form that says destroy the sushi, okay? And I don't need inputs, right? Go away input. Nope, don't need that. Wait. Yes, I did need that. Hold on a second. I still need this one, and how is this going to change? Delete, okay? I don't need a name or description. So now I just have destroy the sushi. Okay, cool. Will this do it? So now I have my view, and I have this destroy button down here, and let's see what happens. I'm sorry? Good question. What route is this? So I inadvertently threw a curveball. This is what route? Unidirect, the show route. This is what we're going to call it, the show route. Right? This is the show page. And so the show page isn't coming from the delete route we just built. Instead, we're going to send this form to that route we just built. Okay? And so the answer is yes, this has access to @sushi.id because it's coming from our show. Okay? Sushi show is this guy here. Okay? So now let's see what happens if I refresh this show page of the reddest of red rolls. Now I want to destroy this sushi. Okay? Click. And now you can see it must have hit the right route because we get delete from sushis where ID is 5. Okay? Everything got smashed and blown away where sushis is 5. And now we redirect it to the all page, and let's go and look and see, is our red, remember the last one was capital R red, is that there anymore? No, it's gone. Cool. It's out of here. Okay, so task, we said, the user said destroy this particular thing, he hit the delete button that we just built, and the controller says, okay, I guess I know what to do with that, and he goes through, he finds it, destroys it. Let's see what that looks like here. Hang on. We need full effect here. Okay. You must destroy the red roll. This is what's happening when he's saying, this is the waiter telling the kitchen in this request, destroy this thing. Okay? And so he's like, you guys are no fun. Come on, that's pretty funny. This is how instances actually get destroyed in active record. You build a giant dumpster fire and dump them in. No one can ever find them. I thought Meryl did a nice job with this. She built this. I did. And so our model says it is done. That's what's happening down here. Okay, in our database. And do you want to see the menu again? And of course he says, no, I'm not hungry anymore. Too bad he gets to see it anyway, because that's where we redirected. Okay? And so we built this method. We figured out how to tweak rack so that it allows the delete method to go through. We get our gold star. And this is our summary of everything we just built. Okay? What's in gray is a reference to Rails. You don't have to worry about that just yet. Although notice that the template names match index, show, and new. Why aren't there templates for create, edit, update, destroy? You'll notice a pattern with templates. What type of request gets a template? A get request. Okay? We're going to fire get requests, which will get our templates. Okay? Sorry, I said edit. I didn't mean just now. I said what doesn't. Edit does have a template. Get this template. Get that template. Get that template. Okay? Get this template. But create, update, and destroy don't, because those are different verbs and those are doing something. And notice the pattern here inside of our application controller. Our patch, okay, our delete, and our post don't ERB. So notice the pattern. When we're getting requests, we're saying I need to get a certain template. It must already exist somewhere. And our patch, post, and delete are saying something. We're going to take some course of actions, whether it's delete something, change something, or make something. And then we're going to redirect to one of these templates. Okay? It's a common pattern you're going to see. Paul.
Isn't that kind of diagram available from somewhere?
Which diagram?
The one you
This? Yes. Well, this is in the. I showed this. This is basically the same thing I showed yesterday from the Intro to REST lecture that you should have access to already. Does anyone remember seeing that? No? Okay. Well, let me know if you don't see it, and I'll make sure to show it to you. Any questions? Anything like does not make sense? I only went 15 minutes over. Okay, you guys good for now? Feel okay? All right, I believe the time is yours to work on labs and lessons until lunchtime, and we'll have more stuff for you. Thank you very much for your time and attention.